Welcome to the NS Podcast, broadcasting from the heart of Burlington, Ontario. This is where I engage conversations with individuals that inspire me, trailblazers in real estate, prop tech, and entrepreneurship. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce a guest whose journey and insights have influenced my own perspective, my good man, Tyler McClay. Welcome to the podcast, my man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. It's an honor. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
appreciate-
A lot of respect for you. A lot of respect for the other guests you've had on the show. So it's humbling and exciting to be here.
I appreciate it,
Thanks
man.
a
I
lot.
appreciate you. Tyler McClay is a third-generation realtor who has seamlessly blended tradition with innovation in the industry as the founder of the Tyler McClay Realty Group. His team has ascended to the top 0.08% nationally, a testament to their first-class client approach, strategic acumen, and beyond sales. Tyler is a dedicated educator holding a master's degree in real estate and infrastructure from York University's Schulich School of Business. He's also the force behind Rex Coaching, a platform that's redefining real estate training across Canada. My man.
Wow.
Welcome,
Sounds like a
welcome.
cool guy. Is that me? That sounds
That's
like a
you, my
cool
brother.
guy. Holy moly, I got to put that on my website.
That's it.
You
That's
articulated
it.
that well and summarized.
That's
I love
it,
that.
man.
Thank you. Thanks for that.
What sets my man apart is his unwavering commitment to elevating the real estate profession. His new book, Operate with Authority, a real estate salesperson's guide, encapsulates his mission to bring authority and integrity back in the industry. My man.
Dude, pleasure,
Let's
man.
go.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so yeah, man, I want to get into I really appreciate you. I think you're doing some great things in the industry, man. I think
Thanks, man.
between the team, between the Rex coaching, I've been to some of your seminars, man. I think you're the real deal in terms of doing, so I'm really excited to get into that. But I want to kind of go way back. I know your parents were in the industry. That's kind of where things started. So
Yeah.
share a story with me from back in the day, maybe something that would be uncommon today in terms of how things were or how things operated, or something that just kind of like wild, maybe
Yeah.
inspired you from back in the day when your parents were in the business.
Great question. I mean, it was a lot more face to face back then, like what I saw growing up with my mom. Right? It was out. It was clients in the car. It was more client facing. It was more value attributed to the relationships that we have to build in this business. And I think I do my best to try to implement that into my business today. It's not something that we want to get lost. Agents want systems and automations and ease, and they want to be able to travel freely and still maintain a decent business, which is possible in this space. But I think the one main thing with real estate is that it's a people business, and it will always be a people business. So you can't be in Tulum all the time. You can't be traveling to Florida all the time, right? You've got to be face to face with your clients if you really want to move the needle. You really want to build something substantial. I think we've got to do more at bringing back the face to face, the impact. So I mean, a story was I think I was maybe in 8th grade, and we just finished a career counseling thing. What do you want to be when you grow up, and all this stuff, and all these ideas, and you do these tests and these quizzes. What do you want to be? But that night, sitting at the table with my mom, she came home and she was working on an offer. And I remember this like it was yesterday. And she was so dialed into the offer. She's on the phone. She goes, "Ty, why don't you sit with me?" Right? We were just talking about careers and stuff. "Why don't you sit with me and see what I do?" "Yeah, please, for sure. Cool." I was always dialed in. I was always interested. I was always curious. And she was working on the offer. She's calling the other agent, calling her clients back and forth. And the passion she had, the way that the clients respected her opinion, the authority and influence she had on the deal in the best possible ways to get things done and win for her clients. It was like, wow, like my mom's a superhero. Like, this is crazy what she's doing from the kitchen table right now with me. And I had the opportunity to listen to that and see all that transpire. And that's really what kind of, I don't know, piqued my interest in the space. It was a little bit of finance, a little bit of business, a little bit of client management, relationship management. It was a little bit of all the things that make a business person a business person. And when you see in the movies, you see what a business people do. They're always on the phone. They're always moving, grooving. People are listening to them. They have authority. And that's exactly what she was doing in that moment. I was like, wow, this is cool. This checks a lot of the boxes of what I think I want to do when I grow up. And here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are. But yeah, the face-to-face stuff. But yeah, I remember her doing like carbon copy offers on the back of her car. Like it wasn't like print and fax and AuthentiSign or DocuSign, like none of that. It was like carbon copy, face-to-face. You got to get there. I remember being in the car with her, like driving. We'd have to drive like an hour to get a sign back because you'd have to go and see the client, physically present the offer. I don't know many agents that present offers, you know, in the classic sense that I'm used to. We'd go in, we'd sit down, we'd present the offer, go through it. Multiple copies, you go through the offer, present it, discuss a sign back. Okay, great, we'll go present it to the other side. We would go present it to the other side, right? A lot more presentation. Now, agents don't even call you when they send a freaking offer. I get emails in my inbox. Offer. It's like a $2 million offer. Who is this guy? He never even called me. And his other agent showed it, so I don't even recognize the name. Right? It's like, here you go. The agents, I think, don't realize the impact that they can have. And I think that we need to implement a little bit of that old school impact into today's market. And agents would be a lot more successful if they did. So yeah, a few little stories.
I like that. I like that.
Learned a lot working alongside them.
Just quick question on that. Do you think that that is kind of the way to go in terms of like presenting the offers, or do you think, because the way I look at in terms of where we're going is obviously with AI and automations, and you mentioned all that, and I think there's just a huge opportunity there to take all the, you know, things that aren't the relationship building out of the business and create efficiencies with AI and stuff like that, and really give you the time to focus on that relationship. But what do you think that looks like in today's day and age? Is it like presenting the offers, or is it like going to the baseball game and, you know what I mean? Like what is like the modern idea of you know, relationship building? What does that look like?
I think that's a great way to put it, is the modern solution, right? So you can't ignore technology. Technology is here to stay. It creates efficiencies, yes, but we can't let it replace our core value add. And what is our value add? It's context. It's giving context. It's framing. So we can still present offers over the phone, give great context in our emails, but it's when agents just send an email, no subject line, no intro, nothing about your client, nothing about your perspective, how you arrived at that price. Like, what? How am I supposed to take this offer? You could present the same thing multiple ways and have significantly different outcomes. So I think that there is a huge opportunity to save a lot of time and find efficiencies by leveraging AI, leveraging technology. Just don't let it replace our core value add as real estate salespeople. Pick up the phone, talk to the agent, send them emails with the comps and you know what you did to arrive at that number to make it make sense. A lot of times I'll do the work for the other agent to make their life easier so they can see my point of view. Right? Presentation is important. One of the examples I use a lot in my coaching is if I said I wanted to go for a beer with you after this, right? The way I say it, the context, the tone can have a drastically different impact on your thoughts as to why I want to go for a beer. If I was like, Rob, man, we got to get a beer after this, man. Jeez. Right? Or if I said, Rob, dude, let's go grab a beer after this, man. Right? The first one is, this market sucks. I'm disappointed. I'm discouraged. I'm sad. And life sucks.
Yeah.
The other way is like, dude, we're excited. I haven't seen you for a while. Let's go celebrate. Let's go enjoy a beverage together and shoot the shit.
That's it. Yeah.
You know? So I said the exact same thing in a different way. And agents don't understand that. You don't get that impact via email. You don't get that impact via a text. You don't get that impact by sending a price and clauses. You know what I mean? So it's the context that we have to give. And it's not that we have to still physically show up and present offers. Maybe time and a place. Like if I'm competing, by all means, I'll show up. I'll represent my client best way possible because agents have an impact on the deal. But my point is that we need to find creative, efficient ways to replace that. Not ignore it, not get rid of it, but replace that. You know?
Yeah. No, I like that. So you think is there a bigger opportunity, you think, to communicate with like the agents on a deal, or more with your client, or both? Do you think it's equally important? Just because we're talking about it, thinking about it.
I think both. I think in this context, it's more the agent on the other side.
Agent on the other side.
I think in this context, it's more the presentation of what you're selling. Right? We're salespeople. We're in a sales business. A lot of agents see themselves as salespeople, but I think that they define their audience that they're selling to the wrong way. I'm not selling to my clients. I'm advising and guiding my clients. I'm selling their position to the other agent.
That's it.
So when I'm turning on the sales jets, I'm selling to you when we're working on a deal together. I'm selling you the value of my offer. Or I'm selling you the value of my client's listing. I'm selling my client's lease profile to the landlord. That's what I'm selling. I'm selling on behalf of my clients. Right? So that salesperson title is interesting. I think if we reconceptualize that and see it where I'm not selling my clients, I'm not trying to sell my clients something. I'm selling for them.
I'm selling their position to the other side. I like that.
Correct. And I think when you put it that way, it just puts things in perspective and again allows you to not market yourself and sell yourself as a salesperson, but
Mhm.
more as an
Mm.
advisor, a client advisor, an
Mhm.
educator, a
Mhm.
consultant, right?
Mhm.
That's more the role we need to take on, especially in markets like this.
Yeah. I think just thinking about it now as we're talking about it, just thinking about all those emails that you'd receive with offers that are kind of, I think that's the biggest missed opportunity for agents is
Huge,
not curating that. You know what I mean?
massively.
Is because I think about all the deals that, I did because there was a storyline there and there was something there and
Or
it's
at least
like,
a relationship.
yeah, yeah,
And you don't need a history with every agent always, but you
yeah,
can build that relationship when you go show the home.
yeah,
Call the agent ahead of time. Hey,
yeah,
anything I should know about the home so I can
yeah.
show my clients in the best possible way.
That's
My
it.
clients are super excited to see the home.
Yeah, yeah,
We'd
yeah.
love the opportunity to present an offer.
Hmm.
Here's what we're working on. Here's why we're starting at the price we're starting at.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? It's a very emotional business. You send an offer low, even in a market like this,
Yeah,
it can be offensive to the seller.
yeah,
It's my job to not let that happen. It's my job to maintain emotions across all
yeah,
parties, and we
yeah,
do that through just communication.
yeah,
Like it's really simple concept.
yeah.
The execution is an art, and that's what makes you a phenomenal agent. That's what makes top agents top agents. I think is not the fancy thicker cardstock business cards, not the twilight photography. It's the way we are able to articulate and communicate our clients' positions for them.
That's it.
You know?
I like that, man. And that just reminds me when we met was on that deal. So that's that's
Yeah,
that's,
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
full circle moment.
That's it.
So going back to that dinner table offer, was that really the moment where you said, because you said it was career night, so was it like, that's the career night, that's what it was? Was it then, or was it, later in life that you kind of said, listen, this is where I want to go?
Yeah, absolutely not. No, no. I that was a moment where I saw the power of the
So,
business and how
yeah, yeah,
cool it
yeah,
was, and I always respected the industry
yeah,
the way my mother and my grandparents respected the
yeah,
industry. Um, but no, I wanted to be a Wall Street guy, finance banker. I wanted to be that
yeah.
suit and tie Wall Street broker and deals, stockbroker, money
Okay.
manager. I wanted to be that guy.
Yeah,
And then very quickly, as I pursued my high school
yeah.
career and into university, I didn't want that first 7, 9, 12 years of fetching coffees and being an
Mm,
analyst
mm,
and the spreadsheets and
mm,
lack of client facing opportunities, right?
mm,
I think I didn't understand what selling was, a sales position,
mhm,
and I learned really quickly how fun and cool it can be to
mhm,
pave your own path, if you will.
mhm,
So no, I had a lot of internships in my university career, and my last year, between third and fourth year, I worked with my mom for the summer.
mm,
And I thought, you know what, I'm going to get my license just to help her out,
mhm,
see what happens. No harm in it.
mhm,
Let's give it a try. And I just fell in love with it. It
mm,
was a perfect combination of finance, data, understanding the market, guiding clients. You get to wear a suit every day, which I thought was cool, right? I think
mhm,
it's still cool.
mhm,
It was just a combination of all the right things.
mhm,
So I think when it really clicked, it was coming out of university. I was 18. It was my 18th birthday. I registered for my real estate course,
mm,
not with the intention of doing it forever, but
mhm,
then you fall in love with it. You can make things happen very quickly
mm,
if you kind of put your head down and
mm,
and listen
mhm,
and study and ask guys in authority like you
mm,
questions,
mhm,
learn from people that are doing more than you,
mhm,
and implement and
mhm.
execute. It's an interesting combination of the prep and the plan, and then the execution. Too much prep and plan, you have no time for the action,
Mm,
and that's where I think a lot of agents fail.
mhm,
And then you get some agents that just want to go gangbusters and they go without a plan,
mm,
and then they get frustrated and burnt out that they're not making
mm,
things happen
mhm,
because you've got the science part down pat, but you don't have the art piece.
mm.
And real estate really is a confluence of art and science.
100%,
You've
yeah.
got to have the balance of
Yeah,
both.
yeah,
And you
yeah.
look at any top agent, they've got the confluence of art and science.
Yeah.
They know the market, they know the data, and they can present it in an artful way, tailored to the specific client. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I could go a million different directions, but long story short, whatever your question was, no,
Yeah.
I didn't always want to be an agent.
So it was 18. It was
It was
18.
18.
Happy 18.
It was
You
18.
got the license. You just wanted to help your mom out and then just fell
That's
in
it. I
love.
thought it'd be a fun
It was
summer
a, it
job,
was
like
a,
go dropping off flyers
that's
for
it.
her and knocking on doors
That's
for her
it.
and doing what I could.
And then you caught a commission check and you're like, this is not bad.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
You're like, all right, all right.
I think it's great that we get to get compensated for what we
Yeah,
do.
that's it.
I
Yeah.
worked at TD for a little bit in
Yeah.
university. I worked at TD Bank, and here I am flying, selling visas, selling whatever overdraft stuff. And I wasn't there long, maybe 7 years. And at that point, I thought, okay, this is my trajectory. Get in with the bank,
Mm,
opportunity, move
mm,
up, move up, move up, bank.
mm,
Have a beefy resume, like be
mm,
impressive on paper.
mm,
This is the stuff. I think at the time, $16 an hour was like awesome, and I was making $16 an hour. and so was the guy beside me, and the girl beside him, and the guy beside her, and we're all making $16 an hour. Here I am, moving the line, selling visas, selling overdraft, making things happen, and they're just not doing it. And at the end of the day, we're all making the same dollar per hour, you know? So that is really where something kind of clicked for me, and I thought, this sucks. It's not for me. Not that it sucks, but it's just not for me. And I can't do that because I want to do the best I possibly can in any instance. And when you do the best you could possibly do in real estate, you're compensated incredibly well for doing that.
Yeah, compensated based on performance.
Correct.
That's what it is. Okay, so first year in the game on the production side, I know now like you coach a lot of different frameworks and methodologies, and you have a good sense of what makes a good agent. But for you that first year, what was the one thing that really just had the biggest impact for you to get a deal done and really logistically,
Good question.
get the business going?
I think it was two things. I think it was having the humility to learn, knowing I was new, knowing I had no idea what the heck I was doing, and there was a lot to learn. The more I learned, the more I realized I didn't know, because it's a complex business. There's a lot of moving parts. So listening, learning, having espressos by the coffee machine. I started at a Woodbridge office, very old school office, a lot of old high producing agents, like older. For me at the time, older. They were probably in their 40s, but I was 18. Seemed old. But being around the water cooler talk, the espresso talk, I learned so much just by putting myself in the positions to learn. So it was that. And on the other side, in terms of production, it was talking to as many people as possible. It was leveraging my networks. It was talking about real estate in any instance. Like my first deal, I went to a pre-con site like my second day in the business, had a few booklets, took them to my university class, put them out on the table. And my buddies are like, what are those? What are those? I'm like, oh, I went to this pre-con site, blah, 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 blah. It naturally allowed for the conversation to happen, which I think agency lead gen is very, blinders on kind of. I have to door knock. I have to lead gen. I have to cold call. I have to post on social media. I have to ask for business. Yes, but if you're a good conversationalist and you can bring real estate up in any context, there's the opportunity to meet leads anywhere at any time, always, right? So I think the fact that I just went all in, talked about real estate a lot, tried to build my brand around I'm the real estate guy, put those pamphlets out on the table. The one guy said, oh, my brother's looking for something. Can you send me an email? In class, sent an email. Next day, went to the site. Next day, sold a unit. So like my fourth day in the business, I sold my first pre-construction unit, and it was a condo at Duffer and Wilson. And I actually just sold it for them now. Their family's growing and so fun, this business. It closes tomorrow, actually, funny enough. It was a combination of learning and then just executing in all capacities.
The deal closes tomorrow for the guy in the classroom or the brother?
The brother. So
really?
the
first client
bought. Yeah, I went with the family.
That's it.
18-year-old kid, 4 days in the business, went to the site, thought I knew what I was doing. I actually, funny story, I remember, I tell my team sometimes, I went in and they're like, okay, Ty, we'll take this 2-bedroom. I said, okay, great, yeah, they'll take it, to the sales rep at the time. And I said, okay, they'll take it. And she goes, okay, do you have the checks? And me, I was like, well, I've never been to a sales office where you need the checks on site. I said, can't they sign today? We'll bring the check later, right? Because I was thinking resale, what I've been exposed to with my mom, you bring the check within 24 hours. So I'm like, I've never seen a pre-construction sales office where you need the draft today. And she was very respectful. She was really cool. She's like, well, here we do. Like, I think she knew I was probably new. And she was great. She goes, well, here we do. We need the check to solidify the deal. I'm like, okay, if that's the way you do it, no problem. Texted my mom. She brought me my checkbook. I put my checkbook there, and then they replaced the checks, and it was a whole ordeal. But I thought I knew what I was doing, and I didn't. So wake up call there. But no, sold him the unit, pre-construction. It was completed, I don't know, 2021, 2020 when it was finally completed, the building. And it's done great for him and his now wife. And they've got a baby on the way. And we just now sold them a house. They're moving up in this market. We sold them a house.
So you sold that condo, or they're keeping it?
We sold that condo.
You sold the condo? What was the purchase price and the sale price? Remember?
Purchase price was like around 4, I want to say, maybe high 3s.
Yeah.
I don't know. And we just sold it for mid 6s.
Okay.
So
not bad.
Yeah, not bad. It did what it's going to do for them. It allowed for the propulsion. It acted as a great vehicle for them to move up.
That's it.
So he did a great thing. got into the market, did what he could at the time.
Yeah.
And now they're leveraging that equity to move up and start their family.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of young people now saying, how am I ever going to get in the market? I was just on a flight the other day, and this guy's going off about his son never being able to buy a house. His son's 35 years old and never going to be able to buy a house. I said, well, like, what's he been doing the last 10 years? You know, like we have to become adults really quick now, 18, 19.
Yeah.
But 35 years old, there's opportunity to get in the market, right? And he says, yeah, but my son wants a detached house in Kleinburg. I said, well, that's never going to happen if you just try to save your way to that. Have them buy a pre-construction condo, build some equity. Buy the townhome first in Maple, move up in 2 years. Let real estate do its thing. It's a powerful vehicle, you know. So this example I'm talking about is the perfect execution of that.
Yeah.
Put your money in, build some equity, and move up when the market allows.
That's it. Yeah. We talk about that a lot in terms of is Canada and kind of maybe the Toronto area becoming, you know, more of a renter's nation and more of a difficult place to get into the market. And I think there's a storyline there, but I think there's still, you know, a lot of opportunities, especially with the government programs, especially with the financing. I think, you know, there's this thing that Canada has in terms of the Canadian dream of owning real estate that is always gonna, you know, be there. And I think there's always gonna be incentives. And, you know, we were talking about it yesterday, whether prices are gonna, you know, come down to accommodate for affordability, or is it going to be more maybe government incentives?
I think it's going to be other mechanisms.
I think that's what it is. It's going to be other mechanisms. I don't think.
The demand side.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing you can do to stop demand in the market, right? And the government so far has been looking at the demand side, trying to work on that. I think finally last year something clicked where they see that it's the supply side that's the issue. So a lot of the removal of the red tape, allow buildings to get built a little quicker, you know, remove some of the taxes for developers. About 40% of pre-construction cost is tax.
100%,
so you remove that, developers can price the units a little more appropriately from market.
That's it.
You know, there's a lot of mechanisms that can be implemented. Removing land transfer tax for first-time buyers. I don't know why that's not a thing. It's such an outdated model, right? When I first started selling real estate, you know, there's the thresholds on first-time home buyer incentive, right? 4,200 provincial and another 4,200 municipally in Toronto. So you've got up to $8,000, say, off of your land transfer tax. But that was implemented when the price of real estate was like in the 2s and 3s. So, okay, it made sense. For the most part, it would absorb the full or the entirety of land transfer tax. Now, an average home is 1.1 million. So that threshold doesn't even come close to absorbing the bulk. It's like dunking this mug here in the ocean. It's like, oh, water levels are declining. Like it doesn't have the same impact that it should.
There's a good case for it to increase
thresholds or get rid of them completely, and that's going to help people get in the market and start building equity.
That's it.
You know, I think the CMHC lending requirements, opening it up to 1.5 million, right? 30
that's what I'm saying.
Stuff like that. That provides affordability. Because you're not buying a home, you're buying a payment. So if these individuals can buy the payment, make it easier to get in, then awesome. But then same thing with insatiable demand, then it opens the gates and more people buying it. There's a million ways I can go with this, but you know, certain asset class is going to see a bigger gain, which we're seeing in this market. The $900 to $1.4 million entry level upsizers, they're flying. They're flying. You know, when other things are sitting, because that market is back. But yeah, I don't think it's a price thing. I don't think prices can come down because it's not a demand play. It's a supply play. Even if we add what the government plans to add, it's never going to be able to satisfy nor keep up with the demand. Plus, we're very constrained in Toronto, right? Where can you go? You've got Greenbelt, you've got Lake Ontario. You can only move out to the periphery so much. A 2-hour commute daily is not realistic, right? So we build up. So, you know, entry level has shifted. Entry level is now 1-bedroom condo in the core this way, rather than, you know, a home out in, at the time, Vaughan was way out there. Vaughan was farmland, right? My parents bought in Vaughan. It was out there. Now it's cut up. Now it's grown. Now it is what it is. You know, but that entry level product, that's starting out home, it's no longer those wartime bungalows. It's no longer moving, you know, an hour from the city, because they're expensive too. Suburbia is expensive too. So it's just reshifting what's possible.
The product type and the thinking behind it. I know, like, as a you know, as a coach, you kind of have you know, you have this probably passion to help other agents, and I see that in you. So I'm not going to ask you, you know, what kind of led you to become a team leader, because I know that's you have that in you, but what was the biggest struggle that you experienced kind of going from producing as a solo agent, where there's just certain things that you're focused on there, and it's simple in a sense. Obviously, it has its nuances to kind of managing a team. What's kind of been the biggest struggle there for you?
Biggest struggle, biggest learning curve was realizing that not everybody's just like you,
Mm,
right? Not everybody's wired the same, not everybody's got the same mentality, and not everyone's got the same strengths and weaknesses.
mhm,
So I learned very quickly that to be a great manager, to be a great leader, to be a great coach, you've got to find what these agents are great at
mm,
and make it better.
mhm,
I think I don't want to say being okay with them being different than you, but your way doesn't necessarily have to be the best way. So what I spent a lot of time doing was working my systems out, finding the core concepts of what worked for me,
mhm,
and then finding creative ways to give them strategies
mm,
using the concept, but having the execution be a little bit different.
mm,
And I found that that was a game changer.
mhm,
So I don't want to say management was the biggest struggle, but
mm,
the biggest learning curve, biggest struggle was realizing that not all these agents are exactly like me.
mm,
So what works for me might not work for them,
mhm,
right? It's like putting together a team, a hockey team.
mhm,
Austin Matthews gets paid to score goals,
mhm,
right?
mm,
Anthony Stolarz right now in the playoffs playing lights out. He gets paid to stop the goals.
mm,
So different roles on the same team. They've both got different strengths and they get paid for what they do best.
mhm,
And I think real estate's no different. A great coach, a great leader, a great broker needs to identify what makes, Anthony tick, what makes Daniel tick, where's Sue's opportunity to do great.
mm,
Find it and make it better.
mm,
Instead of trying to make their weaknesses, baseline or average or
mm.
get closer to you.
Yeah.
Screw that. Like, if you're not good at something, don't try to get okay at it.
Mm,
That's never going to make you a rock star.
mm,
If you're really good at one thing, make it the best. Be the
yeah.
best at that one thing that is your strength. So
Yeah.
it was that.
That's what I realized is, successful agents have built their business in so many different ways. It's not like there's one playbook out there. It's, everybody has done great things in different ways. And that's one thing that I realized too, is everybody's got their strengths. If there was like one set of strengths that you think is the most critical for an agent to really succeed, what would that quality be? If
Communication.
yeah?
Hands down, communication. Agents have to be better communicators and they have to be better at articulating and conveying what's in here to their client,
Mm,
right? A lot of us get desensitized to the market because we're talking about it all day, every day. We're
mhm,
talking about real estate. And sometimes when we present it to a client or try to communicate that to a client, it can come off arrogant, it can come off salesy, it could come off not as intelligently as it could.
mm,
So I think the one main thing that could set everybody apart that every agent has to be great at is communicating.
mm,
Communicating value, communicating the asset value, communicating their own value
mm,
to keep more of their commissions and earn what they're worth.
mhm,
I think it comes down to communication
mhm,
hugely.
mhm,
So if you can be a more effective communicator, more effective at articulating market, your value, concepts, negotiations, you're going to be way further ahead in all
mhm,
capacities because
mhm,
communication is prevalent throughout the entire transaction process.
mm,
The lead gen, the lead nurturing, the negotiation, the getting the deals done, the follow-up, the asking for referrals. It's the most integral part of our business, and we don't want to lose that.
yeah,
We've got to make it better. So that's the one thing.
the communication.
Communication, hands down.
And then what if there was one activity that you would say would be a non-negotiable in terms of an agent having to really be good at, like an actual tactical activity?
Honestly, I think it's being able to put the market in perspective, like an
Mm,
actual activity. Doesn't matter if you're door knocking, cold calling, social media, it doesn't matter. I like a lot of conversational frameworks. One of my favorite ones is what, so what, now what,
mm,
right? So what's happened? Interest rates got cut. Bank of Canada cut rates.
mhm,
Most agents stop there.
mm,
They don't give context, they don't frame. So what? Now you got to tell me why that's relevant to me,
mm,
right? And then now what? Your job is to paint a picture of what's to come. As a result of this rate cut, what can I expect to happen in the market?
mhm,
Right? That helps you frame, give context, and relate it to that particular client.
mhm,
Way too many agents try to speak to everybody, and in speaking to everybody, you speak to no one.
mhm,
Right? Market update. Here's what's going on out there. You got the townhome seller, you got the pre-con buyer, you got everybody under the sun, the upsizer, downsizer, listening to you, but they're not listening because you're not speaking to them.
mm,
So if we can leverage some conversational frameworks and be better at that activity, like articulating the market, breaking down the market, you're going to naturally earn that authority and earn the respect of influence
mm,
to guide, right? We're a dime a dozen. Our value proposition is dwindling. I don't want to give you one activity where it's like door knock or lead gen or social media. You got to be on social media. It's a combination of all those things, but the one activity that they've got to get better at is when I ask you, hey, Rob, how's the market? If you give me a shitty answer, you've just lost the opportunity to win my business.
mm,
So for me, it's having the know-how and the knowledge and conversational frameworks to win business, win influence anywhere. I just won a listing yesterday, $3 million listing I just won yesterday because I was able to articulate the market in a very high level, right? In a very sophisticated level and put things in perspective. Our value proposition is different. My seller knows what their neighbor sold for. They know that their basement was unfinished and theirs is, so they know they're going to get a little bit more, right? The market is more educated than ever. So it's not necessarily about being out there more, and I know a lot of people talk about the numbers game. I mean, that's a given. But it's the art of the execution, and that comes down to practicing how you can speak about the market. Right? When if I'm think of anyone you want to hire. If I want to hire a landscaper to go and make my backyard look awesome, right? And he comes over and I say, well, what's it going to cost to do this? And what kind of trees would you put there? Yeah, well, you tell me what you want and I'll do it. Right? I'm not a landscaper. I want them to come and give me ideas, put things in perspective. Another guy comes over and says, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. A lot of my clients' purpose of landscaping is privacy, right? Yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay, great. So what I can see here is you've got a window here into your bathroom and your kitchen. Maybe we put a canopy tree here. That's going to allow for privacy from your east neighbor. On the west side, you've got a lot of privacy. Maybe we do more of an aesthetic on that side, because when your friends walk in from the gate and they look at that side of the fence, you want it to look inviting and aesthetically pleasing. So I would do some lavender, maybe some tall grass, and if you want to plant a few nice flowers, depends on the level of maintenance you want to put in, then we do something that way. But that's my take. Who are you going to hire? You're going to hire the guy that's giving you context, giving you ideas, taking the reins. Too many agents are so scared to say the wrong thing. Study the market, practice the execution. That's it. Study the market, practice the execution. You ask me about the market, I'll give you a quick 30-second pitch about interest rates, inflation, where we're headed, where we're going to go, and I'm going to earn your trust because you're going to say, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. Agents have to be better at that. That's the one thing. Get better at talking about the frickin' market, man. Agents just don't care to.
I love that. And I think that's why it's important to kind of be in those conversations and have those conversations in your meetings, in your updates and all that. But what's your thought on, let's say you invest a lot of time into understanding the market, articulating it, like, what if you don't have anyone to articulate it to? What's the activity?
That's where the lead gen comes in, right?
Yeah. So what does that look like? What is your take on lead gen in terms of,
like specific
non-negotiable? Yeah. Like, what's the non-negotiable lead gen? Like,
Great question.
Yeah.
For me, it's about the impact. I have an impact scale with Rex Coaching. It's a very sophisticated impact scale that I've created. And I think that at the nurturing phase, you can get away with texts and chats and maybe voice notes and emails. But at the lead generation phase, you need impact. You need impact. Impact comes from the science, the flow of what makes an impact when you meet someone new. 55% body language. I don't get that when I send a text. 38% tonality. I don't get that when I send a text. Only 7% of our influence is words. So when I text or email, I'm only getting 7% of the impact. And agents don't get that. They want to hide behind their phones. For me to have an impact, I've got to be physically present, or at least present on video content. So for me, I don't care what agents say. I know I said find your strength and work with it. Your lead gen has to have impact, and that impact is going to come from you knocking on a door, attending an event, walking into a local bar saying, can we collaborate on something because I have a listing down the street? Do you have coupons for $5 off a beer? And I'll give them to everyone that comes by my open house this weekend. Great. He has made impact there. When he needs to sell his house in the area, you're the Burlington guy. Right? When he has someone walk in the door today and there's people sitting at the bar, he's going to say, oh, great kid just walked in talking about real estate. Yeah, here's his card. Here's $5 off a beer. You're a regular. Here, use one of my coupons. Right? The whole thing is you want to entice conversation. And for me to entice conversation, if I send an email to that bar across the street, hi, I'm a local agent. Would you like to collaborate? No, they don't. They can't see your suit. They can't see your smile. They can't get your personality, your charisma through an email. So for me, where can I hit the 55% body language, 38% tonality, and the 7% words to have maximum impact? That's my impact scale. For me, it's face-to-face. So non-negotiables, show up. Knock on the doors. Host the open house, right? Be present. Attend events. Host events. I had a new agent on my team. He came in first day. He goes, Ty, how can I get a lease client today? I said, here's a Bristol board. I had Bristol board in my office. I said, here's a Bristol board, right? I forget what I told him. Renting in Toronto. Ask me about renting in Toronto. And he wrote it on there in a Sharpie. I said, go stand at Yonge and Dundas Square. He did. He got 4 leads in an hour because he just put himself out there. He went and stood there like that dude with a sign and said, ask me about renting in Toronto. And people walked up to him and asked him about renting in Toronto.
That's it.
Right? I've heard this tacky concept, but it makes sense. Like, don't be a secret agent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Put yourself out there, man.
That's
And
it.
put yourself out there with impact.
Mhm.
So I don't care what it is. The non-negotiables for me is getting yourself in front of the potential clients. And what's cool about this business is you can do a lot to predict who that client will be, right? What the profile is.
Yeah.
Whenever I get a listing, I do an activity, right? I define who the buyer profile is going to be with a high likelihood, right? A studio condo downtown, probably a young professional, parents buying for their kid going to school, or a young single professional working downtown Toronto. Great. Phase 2, where am I going to find them? I have to do a bit of mind mapping. I have to do a bit of critical thinking. Where am I going to find that person? Well, maybe at the university fair. They'll be there with their parents. Maybe they'll be in the path having lunch in the path underground in the financial district. Right? Because they're a young professional working down there. Maybe they're renting right now nearby. Okay, I'm going to send intentional letters to the rentals nearby that are expiring in the next 3 to 4 months. Right? So step 3 then is, what action can I take to get in front of them? I'm going to go walk around the path during lunchtime and talk to young people in suits. Hey, nice suit, man. Hey, that's a great tie. Love it. That's awesome. Where'd you get it? Oh, I shop at this place down here. Harry goes, oh, sweet. Yeah, no, I've been there. Yeah, what do you do for a living, if you don't mind my asking? I work for BMO here. I'm just on an internship, hoping to get a full-time position. Awesome. Do you live in the city? Yeah, I live in the city. And then naturally, when you're curious, they're going to ask you questions. So implementing curiosity when you are presenting this impact forces your counterparty to then be curious about you. Well, what are you doing down here today? Oh, I'm actually in real estate. Just wrapped up a showing. I work with a lot of young people like you. They're actually looking to buy now instead of rent because interest rates are working their way down, and a lot of opportunity in the market right now. Oh, you don't say. Yeah, I've been thinking about potentially buying. Oh, no way. Here's my card. Give me a call. Let's go see some units. Right? But agents don't want to do that. The biggest reason agents don't want to do that is they're not confident in their own ability. They're just not. Study the market, practice the execution, you will be.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science. It's just real estate, and it's just having the ability to go out and transact, the confidence and ability to go out and have conversations. More conversations you have,
I love
more real
that.
estate you're
I
gonna sell.
love that. So
impact.
more face to face.
Impact.
More face to face than the phones, maybe.
Yeah.
Perhaps more face to face.
And that can all happen on the nurturing phase.
Yeah.
Nurturing phase, we want to be more efficient, for sure. But for me, it's about getting my hooks in, right? There's 4 buckets of building a relationship. You've got the stranger bucket, the acquaintance bucket, the friendship bucket, and the partner bucket. My job is to move these leads through those buckets. Everybody, when you first meet them, is a stranger. But what's the impact I can have? A flyer in the mail, you're just another one of many. If I can knock on the door, tell them what's going on in the area, they get to see me face to face, compliment their welcome mat or their pumpkins during Halloween or their Christmas lights during the holidays, I'm going to have an impact. Oh, that guy, he was such a nice guy. When I go back again the following month, oh, Ty, nice to see you again. Hey, do you have another list of what's going on in the area? No, this time I got some jokes and a crossword, but what's your email? I'll send you what's going on in the area. Lead capture, right? Yeah. Agents don't want to elongate the sales process. So I've got my 4 buckets, but also the way I track my CRM is 1 to 7 scale, right? If I hear me talk about 1 to 7. It helps me conceptualize and visualize that, okay, this is a new lead. They're just a 1. My job now is to get them to a 2. Too many agents stretch a cold elastic and try to go from a 1 to a 7 all at once. You're not selling blue jeans or bubble gum here. You're selling real estate.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like making a cold call. It's like, hey, you looking to buy and sell?
Right, yeah. Who is going to say, yes, come sell my nest egg, my retirement, my generational wealth. Yes, please, kind stranger. That's not happening.
Yeah.
Ask them for a coffee. Ask them to come to the office. Ask them if you can come by and present some stats on the market. Little tiny little movements, and eventually when you get to that 7, that's a system, that's a structure, that's a strategy, but it all starts with the bigger impact. I talk about it like dating, right? Single people out there, they're on Tinder, the impact of that meet is very low, right? The impact is very low. You swipe this way, you swipe that way, great, you've got matches, you've got a ton of matches, it depends what you look like, a ton of matches, a few matches, doesn't matter, you got a few matches on there, okay? The impact is low because you're one of many. If you go out on the street and you see a girl drop her coffee and you pick it up and you say, oh, let me get you a fresh one. Come with me in Starbucks. Let me buy you a coffee. Sorry I bumped into you, whatever. That's impact. You're memorable now. You're memorable now. That's the face-to-face impact, right? You see a cute guy, cute girl walking across the street. Hey, so sorry. You look like you're in a rush. Just want to mention, you're incredibly good looking. I'd love the opportunity to take you out for lunch. I don't know, something. They're going to say, People don't do that anymore in this day and age. Everybody's hiding behind their 7% words.
Yeah.
The impact, the hooks are not in.
Yeah.
But the opportunity on that first date is you're going to be a lot further ahead on the first date than if it's a swipe this way or that way.
Yeah.
You're not meeting a stranger anymore. Now you're meeting an acquaintance. You had a meet cute, I think they call it in the movies. So I want to try to implement meet cutes with all my clients to get the impact.
I love that.
I hope that makes sense.
No, I love that, man. That's deep and makes complete sense. Okay, when it comes to an agent on the team and taking them, from a zero to a hero and really, helping somebody become a top performer. What do you think is the one thing that you do to help them get there? And what do you think is that most important thing that a leader can do to really, nurture that growth and that.
Great question. There's a lot of things that come to mind. Studying the market and having thick skin. There's a lot of things that come to mind. I think the one thing that jumps out though is sharing my experiences with them, so they don't have to go through that on their own. I mean that in a number of contexts. I mean that when, a client stops answering and they get discouraged that a client stopped answering or a lead stopped answering, or they get discouraged because they thought they had a listing and then they listed with a cousin and, they're seeing that as a $20,000 commission check they've been nurturing for 4 months and, big blow. I think there's a lot of value in just guidance from experience. And, guys like us, you can't I was gonna say you can't buy that experience, but you kind of can with coaching and leadership. You kind of can get that.
It's tough,
but it's different.
Yeah.
So the ability for me to put things in perspective for them, tell them what's worked for me, what hasn't worked for me, have them operating with more intention. That's probably one of the bigger things, really. Like there's a lot of frameworks and systems that we give them. So all of their time is spent selling versus, prepping and paperwork and all the stuff that agents don't really want to do, but I want them to leverage their skills to go out and meet people and talk and do those core elements of our business. Let me take care of the rest. I've built those systems. But yeah, I think really the big thing that attributes to the success is sharing my own experiences.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, the ugly, all of it, so that they can kind of take that and run with it, know what not to do, what to do, the ability to be more creative. I think a lot of agents could do a lot more deals if they were more creative and found solutions versus, Ty, we don't like this house. It doesn't have a fence for the dogs. Okay, we'll keep looking. Well, what's a fence cost? $10 a linear foot, whatever it is. Let's get quotes for a fence. We get this home 30 grand below ask. We'll have more than enough to put a fence around the perimeter. There you go, bada boom, bada bing. Oh, Ty, we never thought of that, right? Like little things like that. Just speaking from experience. I mean, I don't want to say I've seen it all, but I've seen more than most based on volume. Same with you, right? You've seen more than most, and that experience can just be a huge, huge cushion, repellent to negativity. Confidence booster, creative selection to push deals through instead of hitting roadblocks.
Yeah.
So that.
I think you mentioned these days you can buy it and coaching and all that, but I think those nuances of being in so many deals and seeing so many things, either go through or fall apart or what was done to really put it together. That's where I think, you can have the biggest impact. You're right. And that kind of leads me to my next question in terms of, Rex coaching, and what do you think is the thing that really separates Rex coaching from, every other coach on the market, which everyone's a coach these days, right? So
I know.
So what do you think is that one thing that really separates Rex?
I think it's 2, maybe 3 things. I think the one thing is that me being a very active salesperson and performing at the level I do, I'm not just a coach. I'm a very active salesperson and I'm still doing it. So everything I do is very adaptable, very real time. Another big thing that makes it different is the execution. We don't just teach this fluffy bullshit theory mindset. You are enough and you are confident and you can do it. Well, you can, but here's what you have to do it. I'm not in the business of making people feel great, right? I know that, conventionally from a business perspective, yes, I can sell a lot more if I'm just making people feel great. That wouldn't make me feel great. I'm not going to get rich from coaching. It's a passion of mine. I love to do it. My sales business takes great care of me. Okay. I'm coaching because I love my industry and I want to bring authority back to agents. The way I do that is through execution. The best way to learn is by doing. So my coaching program, what's very unique about it is it's daily actions. Everything is actionable. You go through my program, there's something you can do right now to implement and make it work and make it make sense for you. So it's about the execution and the action that I think a lot of other coaching programs are. This is why lead gen's important. Lead gen every day. Okay, I'm told to lead gen every day, but like, what does that mean? What do I do? I break it down in excruciating detail. Start with this, create a lead magnet, share it with 10 people, share it with 20 more people. This is the way you share it. This is how we amplify, turn that lead magnet into a video, and that's your follow-up plan, right? So everything I do is very calculated. The results are proven in my team. I've got guys on my team doing numbers I never thought I could ever dream of to do personally, and it's so much fun to see. But I think those are the two things. Me personally, and I never toot my own horn, but my leadership and my knowledge and my background, my master's degree, my coaching experience, teaching experience, putting it in a form that makes sense, right? And speaking from experience, because I'm still selling. Most of these coaches, they don't sell, or they started coaching during COVID because their real estate business tanked. My real estate business has grown every year I've been in the business, every year without fail. So what I do works. And the other thing, just the execution, the action. Agents want to know what to do, right? And how to do it. So it's very specific, very actionable, very, here's what to do. I do 99% of it for you. Here's your templates. Here's your stuff. Here's what to do. They just have to do that 1%. I make it as easy as I can possibly make it for them to go out and be successful. So
I love that, man.
That's
that
what
sounds.
And I mean, a big part of my coaching is bringing back the authority of the business by having them respect the industry. You got to respect the industry. You got to be clients first. You got to be a go-giver, right? So a lot of what I do is it's work. It's not shortcuts. It's work. But if you want to be successful, let's do the work. Let's do the back end work. But I know from my experience, my team's experience, my coaching clients' experience, you do this work, you're going to get those results.
I love that.
You can't expect to be a top agent by sitting back with your feet up and waiting for your phone to ring. So we need to make it ring. I tell them exactly what to do to make your phone ring.
I love that. I love that. So you got the team, you got the production, you got the Rex coaching. What's the secret weapon to making, to keep everything moving and being able to manage all that? Because I know it's a lot, right? It's a lot of different moving pieces. But what do you think's the secret? What do you think's the secret weapon for you?
I think the secret weapon is give a shit. It's the number one rule on my team requirements. If you're gonna be on my team, number one, give a shit. Give a shit about your profession, give a shit about your clients, give a shit about what you do. I think just the fact that I give so much of a shit about everything I do,
it keeps you going.
It's it really does, man. It's not personal. It's more, what can I do for everybody else? And I get more excited now. Like, I just did a big deal in Kleinberg, but I wasn't nearly as excited for that as I was for one of my new agents to do like their first lease deal. And I was so happy for them. Like, I really care about my team, my people, my coaching clients. Like, I want you to be successful, and I'm gonna do anything I could possibly do to make that happen. So really, genuinely caring, giving a shit about what they do and their results, their happiness, their confidence, their production. That's what it is. That's truly, truthfully what it is. If I was self-centered and self-focused and I made decisions so I could make an extra 10 grand here and 10 grand there, no, you got to think long picture. You got to think big picture. You got to think about what that why is, what that purpose is. And mine is very, very strong. Again, without tooting my own horn kind of thing. It's just the way I am. It's just the way I operate. It's not about me. It's about the industry. And if I do good for the industry and I do good for my people and I do good for my coaching clients, you know what? I'll be able to put food on the table.
That's it.
And that's what's important.
Yeah.
I mean, we do incredibly well. We're incredibly successful, but the reason is because we give so much of a shit about what we do.
I think that's really the difference between, a producer and a team leader is what you just said in terms of being successful on the team side. Because, it's one thing being a producer, just doing production and running the business on that end, but to really switch into that role, I think just
you gotta want to do it. You know how much extra work it is, right? I was telling you before we started, like, today I just want to sell. Like, I'm in sell mode. Like, I want to do what I do best and go back to my roots. But you know what? There's nothing like it when it's moving, when it's flying, when you've built this machine. It's so rewarding and fun. But you have to really want to do it for the right reasons.
That's right.
You can't want to do it because you want to do less work. I knew what I signed up for. I knew I was going to be doing double, triple the work for, not a great result with new agents, training, teaching. You're not going to have top performers right away. You have to nurture that. You have to build that. And we found with our retention is incredible on the team. because we make that front end investment, right? I mean, it's inevitable. People may leave down the road, but at this point, our retention's been incredible,
Yeah.
right? And that's because they know I put the time in and effort in and care more than anyone else to get them to where they need to be.
Yeah.
Genuinely. So it's that genuine giving a shit.
Yeah. No, when you lead with that, and
that's
what it's all about, man. It's if you lead with that and you look at it from a long-term perspective, that's what builds retention. And
I've heard agents laugh about their teams. Like I've heard agents like on the back end like laugh about their teams. Like, oh, how funny is that? I don't do anything for these guys and I get a piece of other deals. Ha ha ha. Like, okay, you're obviously in it for the wrong reasons, and I can promise you won't last more than 18 months. I can guarantee.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Agents that want to put their feet up and just pass off my lead. Most of them don't even have businesses big enough to have a team. And then for some reason, some agents somehow join them when they're only doing this level of business. You don't even have enough business to sustain your own career, let alone bring on a team member. It's not fair to the industry. It's not fair to that team member. It's not fair to yourself, right? And you just want to put your hand in their pocket? No, you want to be a team leader. Same with your mentality. It's about what can I give?
That's it.
What can I give them? How can I make them better? How can I give them more opportunity?
Yeah.
You want to take it and run? Fine. I did good for the industry. I'm making the industry a better place.
That's it.
But that's the mentality. And you give enough, the right things happen. Good things come back to you.
I know the being a team leader has its nuances versus just coaching people.
Yeah.
Which one do you feel like you prefer? Because obviously one is a lot more intensive.
Yeah.
And there's a different relationship there. But what are your pros and cons on those two different kind of business models?
I think that's a really good question. I like that question a lot. I think from the team perspective, you have a better understanding of their personalities, their business, because you spend more time with them, more face-to-face training, more collaboration. You get to see the culture. It's more of an ecosystem. So you've got, this guy helping this girl and this girl helping this guy and all of their strengths. Hey, can someone help me with my social media content? Yeah, we've got 3 of them that are rock stars. They naturally step in and help because that's the culture we have. So seeing that ecosystem is awesome. From my perspective, it's the ability to be a little more harsh on them. Because I'm choosing for them to be there. They're choosing to be there, but I'm also choosing them. It's an opportunity for them. It's an honor to represent our name. And they know that and they get that and they see that in our culture. So it's a privilege to be on my team. And if you're not, I don't want to say it's a performance thing, but if you're not giving a shit, being coachable, supporting your teammates, showing up for meetings, having a willingness to learn, I can speak a little more direct. Right? We're all partners. We all work together. I never say they work for me or work under me. We all work together very collaboratively. I think that helps with the culture too. But if they're not performing at a high level, I can speak more direct to them, which is easier and quicker and be harder on them. So I see the growth happen a little bit quicker because they want that. That's what they're there for, right? I'm not a mean guy, but hey, you said you want to do great in real estate, but you're doing this. Stop doing this. Start doing this. Like what's wrong with you? Like, let's go, chop, right? Call me, ask me for help. I'll show you how to do it, but fix it. Versus the coaching clients, they're paying me for service and I can't be as direct, if that makes sense. So it's a little more cushiony. It's a little, well, Ty, I had a rough week. Oh, okay. Well, you should stick to your plans and send me your thing. And, like they're, it's different.
Yeah.
They're more of clients. So it's, here's everything you need. Go do it. If they don't do it, okay. Like my team, here's what you need to do. If they don't do it, I can say, fix it.
Yeah.
Do it.
That's it.
Let's go.
Yeah,
I think that's, I don't know if I articulated that the right way.
That's
That's kind of
perfect.
what I mean. The
That's
coaching
perfect.
clients, you got to be a little softer-ish on, versus my guys, it's like I can be like a football coach. Like, chop, let's go, hardcore, different
That's
tone.
it. Yeah.
And the coaching clients, how was your week?
Yeah.
What can we do? Let's fix it. Both with incredible results. I just like the way I can speak to my team.
I think that ability to build that culture is exciting and be able to have that bigger impact. That's why I really love the team,
thing, right?
Yeah.
They know it's an option for them to be there and it's an option for me to have them there. So, it's a people business, just like our clients. You want to work with me? Great. You don't? Ciao. Same with my team.
I'm sure that if a venture capitalist was to say, look at the team business model and look at like a coaching business model, they'd probably pick the coaching business model all day.
10,000%.
But it's something about the team model, like you said, about being able to help people and ultimately change their lives and change their careers
and scalability too.
Culture.
Like it adds scale when you have a team. right? Like if Taylor has a sign over here, Barra has a sign over here, Sue has a sign over here, and Vince has a sign over here, then as a team, we've got 4 listings in this pocket.
Yeah, there's an impact
right?
factor too.
There's an impact factor.
Yeah, so
we
this-
look bigger than we are,
Yeah,
right? Or
yeah.
we seem like a bigger presence than we are, and the rest of the team benefits from what everyone else is doing. You know, very, very, very collaborative. So just as
a success story from either the team or the coaching side. Let's say the you know the most interesting success story from one of your folks. What would you say?
There's a lot. There's a lot. One that comes to mind is a gentleman. He came from project management. So he's always been a business guy, well-educated, Laurier.
I find those guys to be hard to transition into the games.
Very
So
hard because they're too rigid,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And you got to be very flowy and adaptable in this space. So that's what we spent a lot of time working on. I coached him one-on-one for a year, his first year in the business. He's still in my coaching program. He doesn't do the one-on-one now. He's following my program. We do live training twice a week. His first year in the business, he made 70 grand or so. Okay, coming out of project management, he worked top companies. He's a super smart guy, but he wanted to go all in real estate. So he made 71,000 his first year in real estate, but he built a lot of the right systems. He set up the right structure. This year, he's already done 250. And it's what, end of April, right? End of April 2025. So we're not even halfway through the year, 4 months in. And he's already hit 250 because he's learned to leverage what he did last year. We worked on leveraging what he did last year, his network, his referrals, what he does well, which is project management. So we created a really sophisticated listing presentation for him and platform for him to systemize and automate his flow. He can do more with less time. He can talk to more people. He can get his hooks in to build relationships a lot quicker. But he told me at the beginning of the year, he goes, Ty, if I can hit 3 this year, I'll owe you everything. And I said, I have no doubt you'll hit 3 this year. He's already hit 250. He's well on pace for into the 7s.
I like that story.
And he's a brand new agent.
Yeah.
No experience in real estate, no experience in anything. So that's one I'm super proud of. But that's not me. That's not me. I gave him the tools. He's using the tools.
I love how you kind of curated a custom plan for him based on his skill sets, and I think that's difficult to scale with that kind of model, but it's super important, right? So really interesting how you did that. Let's just quickly cut into the Toronto real estate market. Obviously, so much going on.
Yeah.
Things are changing, right? Things are changing, and you know, you got to find opportunities with the changes. So where's the, you know, you mentioned Hamilton pre-con. I know you're tapped into some of the pre-con. We've been looking at some other opportunities in Toronto with some of the development of multiplexes and things like that. But where do you see the market, you know, going in Toronto? And where do you see kind of the biggest opportunities?
Well, the market's going up. The market's going up in Toronto.
Yeah.
I think that as the confidence returns to the consumer, confidence and predictability. Consumers don't want to make decisions without knowledge. Okay, we need knowledge and predictability and confidence. It's coming back. Okay, so latest rate hold gave a little confidence to certainty and leveling out. I think we have to continue the rate cut cycle as money gets cheaper, purchasing power goes up. Okay, you combine that factor with the lack of building. Right? Massive lack of building. Building permits are down huge. How do we fix the supply side? Well, we have to build. We're not building because the market isn't supporting the prices developers have to sell at to make a profit. It's just math. It's just business. So we have a very insulated market with a finite amount of inventory. More to come, but all else equal. Finite amount of inventory. Not nearly enough supply being added. Immigration at record levels, tapering off, but the permanent residents are still exactly where they need to be. So they need homes. We're not building homes. It's a simple supply-demand calculation, okay? But the big thing for me is economy-wise overall, you look at the 40-year average of the GTA real estate market, we appreciate on average 5% per year over the last 40 years. I think we're at the stage now where we're going to get back to that sense of predictability. I don't think that there's any pent-up demand for appreciation. I think there's a pent-up desire to take action, buyers and sellers. But I think the big thing here, what I always kind of get to when it comes to a market conversation, is you have to allow the market to dictate your lead gen. As a real estate agent, you have to allow the market to dictate your lead gen. And what I mean by that is you can't have agents walk into this business and say, I want to be a luxury agent. Why? Right? I want to sell pre-con. Why? Where's the opportunity there? My lead gen, my definition of an audience, every single time I launch any new campaign, it starts with a market assessment, a market analysis. who's buying and why.
Mm.
So when I look at the market right now, who's buying and why? Well, you know what? The first-time buyers that have been on the sidelines the last 4 years, they're starting to creep back. So get your content ready for first-time buyers, explain the benefits of buying in this market, educate them on how to buy. You know who else is buying a lot? It's the first-time sellers. You ever seen a first-time seller guide? Me neither. I see a lot of first-time buyer guides, never seen a first-time seller guide. First-time sellers have a lot of questions, and they're finally moving. They're finally moving. Why? Well, they've got equity in their homes. They've got growing families. They've got kids that are growing up and running around like crazy now. They need more space. Household savings are up. Highest household saving rates we've seen in a very long time. So we've got cash. We've had incredible wage growth over the last little bit in our economy. So the money's there, the income's there, the equity in their home is there, assuming they bought pre-2018 in their cookie cutter subdivision starter home, right? Now it's time to sell and move up in this market because I talk a lot about Delta. This is my whole market conversation. I talk a lot about Delta.
The Delta makes sense.
So yes, you got to look at the Delta. Where's the upside? What's the difference? So you want to wait for your $1 million townhome to appreciate 10% over the next 2 years? Great, you're going to wait for 100 grand. But you're going to put off the purchase of that $1.5 million detached, and you're giving up what? What are you giving up? You're giving up 150 grand of gain. So leave the 100 grand gain behind, experience it on the bigger asset, and you're going to go up 150 grand because the same percent on a larger asset is a bigger number. So the delta there's 50 grand. There's a $50,000 opportunity in upsizing now. So talking about market, there's opportunity in any market. It's up to the agent to find it and then educate their consumers on it. So anyway, that's my whole market thing.
No, I've been talking about the Delta for a while, but I like how you branded it as the Delta.
It's the Delta.
I never really kind of positioned it like that, but
it's huge.
It's, you know, it's...
Clients got to understand. And it's our job to educate them.
Exactly.
Too many agents are walking around, you want to sell your house? Well, why are you knocking on that door? Right? You have to ask yourself, why are you knocking on that door? Well, because it's close to my house. Okay, but this is an established family subdivision. They're not moving right now, right? They're not moving. They have no need to move. This is their home until they downsize, eventually probably 20, 30 years. Okay, so why are you door knocking that pocket? You want volume? Door knock on the stacked towns, the entry-level detached, the ones that have equity. You want to get really serious? Look at the ones that bought pre-2018 that have built a wicked amount of equity over the last 6 years. And now they have the ability and willingness, that's what we need for transactions, willingness and ability to combine. They've got the willingness because they want to move up, they want more space, and they have the ability because they have equity and household savings and wage growth. So talk to the right people. You know, have intention behind why you talk to who you talk to. But yeah, market overall, Toronto market, looking good, confidence coming back. I see long-term growth. I really see density returning. Something agents should all be looking into is density trends. When I did my master's in 2018, there was a lot of talk about density, okay? Densification in cities across the world. And more shared economies, right? More, I'd rather spend my money on my rent or my mortgage than a car because I can take a zip car or I have access to transit. Right? In a dense community. You walk for groceries, you walk to the bar, you walk to work, it's closer. And that's what was happening. COVID turned that all on its head. We saw suburbia grow at a much quicker rate, and it was counterintuitive or opposite to what a concentric city model should be. Concentric city model is growth from the nucleus outward, and we lost that. My personal opinion is as we recover, we're going to see the core, the nucleus grow the most. Toronto, and other nodes kind of grow. So
you're seeing that.
The Oshawas,
you're seeing that.
The Barries, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think the periphery is going to be a little more stagnant to start, other than those assets I spoke about before, 900 to 1.5, entry-level upsizing opportunity.
That makes perfect sense, because if you look at the stats right now, you're seeing like the tertiaries are getting hit harder than the secondaries, and Toronto is pretty much coming out unscathed, right? Like you're not really seeing...
And their condo market's a little bit saturated.
Yeah, but even the condo market, I know I looked at 416, it's down, but you know, Peel, you know, when you compare like Peel detached to Toronto detached, it's way different. Like
proof's in the pudding, proof's in the numbers, right?
So I think Toronto's holding strong, and you're right, it's kind of it's coming back to being more of that dense situation, and I see that's why for Toronto I'm really, you know, I'm really bullish on it. I think it's, you know, out of all of North America, it's one of the greatest cities, and I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think there was a stat, something came, like a lot of the folks in the States are now looking at Toronto because they're not happy with some of the things. So it's definitely a world-class city. But I guess what I was trying to get at in terms of the market shift in Toronto, like everything you spoke about was very much like the lifestyle buyer, right? In terms of people moving up, moving down, in first-time home buyers. I just feel like the condo product, it's lost appeal to an investor, right? In terms of that, because it stopped making a little bit of sense. Have you seen that trend as well, or how do you feel in terms of like from an investment standpoint? Because that was a big pre-con buyer, was sort of the
Sure.
investor, right?
Sure.
And I think there's still a great story there for a first-time home buyer or a first-time kind of person just getting in the market.
Yeah.
It's a great, payment plan and all that, but from somebody looking to invest in real estate, is there still a storyline there for pre-con, or do you think there's going to be an opportunity for other types of investments?
Great question. I mean, it's tougher for investors to make return now,
Mhm,
but I think recency bias plays a big role,
mhm,
right? This is the first time we've seen a market
mhm,
dip
mhm,
in Toronto for, I'm going to say 14, 18 years
mhm,
before the pandemic.
mhm,
Okay. So I think there's a little bit of recency bias and everybody jumping on the bandwagon that got to buy real estate. Okay. If you're buying pre-construction downtown core, you're probably not a cash flow investor
mhm,
because you got maintenance fees, you got higher mortgage rates, which obviously plays into the role, right? So just to give context, if you're looking at buying investment real estate, you got to think of it like a business. Okay. You've got two options in terms of how to increase the value of the business, which is the asset. You either increase the income, which rents are appreciating, which will happen. It's coming, it's inevitable. Or you decrease the costs that it costs to run the business, which is happening with interest rates working their way down. So do I see downtown Toronto real estate to be appealing for investors? I think that hesitation and uncertainty is causing them not to be as prevalent.
mhm,
But I do see these assets able to increase their income, higher rents, decrease their costs of ownership, lower mortgage rates, and find more opportunity to make these assets more valuable.
mhm,
The big play though in pre-con is the capital appreciation side. Can you find resale cheaper? Yeah, you can. Of course you can, but it's a different type of investor. I think if you've got 200,000 in the bank or 150 grand in the bank, you go buy your $800,000 resale investment condo, core Toronto location, parking spot, and you rent it out for 3,400 a month. Okay, great. Not all investors fit that profile that have 200 grand that want to buy that unit.
mhm,
Okay, if it's you and your sister, you and your brother, you and your spouse, and you're working your way up and you want to get in the market, pre-construction offers those elongated
mm,
deposit
yeah.
structures. You're also always going to be the new guy on the block, right, for a long time because the addition of supply is very, very limited.
Mhm,
So you're going to have the newest in innovation and technology in these buildings, the best eco-friendly systems. You're going
mhm,
to have what everybody wants, right?
mhm,
When you go buy a new car, what do? Do you buy a newer model or an older model? You generally buy a newer model.
mhm,
It's got more bells and whistles, more sophistication, better fuel economy. Same with our phones, right? New iPhone comes out. Ah, I don't want the iPhone, whatever, we're on 18. I
mhm,
want the 12 again.
mhm,
No, we go this way.
mhm,
Real estate's no different. My favorite part of this market right now, especially in the pre-con market, is we're seeing innovation in building that we've never seen before.
mhm,
Because when the market's hot, there is zero pressure for
mhm,
developers to innovate.
mhm,
Zero. Why
mhm,
would they?
mhm.
Let me build a cookie cutter square, same as
Yeah,
everybody else. It's going to sell. Now, oh baby, it's fun.
yeah,
They're competing on architecture.
yeah.
They're competing with amenities. They're integrating tech like we've never seen before. So the jump in sophistication in building technology is huge
Mhm.
right now.
I
So a lot of these buildings that will be completed are going to be
Yeah.
unique and new and modern and fresh and fun. And I think there's always going to be return there. So long story short, capital appreciation investors, I love the downtown Toronto market. It's a different investor. It's a different profile than it was.
Mhm,
But if you want cash flow, then you're not buying a pre-construction downtown. You want cash flow, you're buying a sixplex in Hamilton or Burlington or Oshawa,
mhm.
right? Cash flow investors are much different. Even Calgary market for condos
Yeah,
is good for cash flow. But yeah, no, I don't think cash flow investors are seeing pre-construction in Toronto as their first option.
that's it.
I think it's a long-term play,
Mhm,
long-term hold. A lot of my investors are not buying for themselves; they're buying for their kids,
mhm.
right? I got to put some skin in the game. I got to put some equity in the game for my son, for my daughter,
Yeah,
for my kids, right? So a little more of that, but long-term play, long-term vision.
yeah. I think there's a lot of storylines there for why pre-con makes sense, especially with the longer deposit structure and all that. We're really focused on this missing middle opportunity in Toronto. It's
Yeah,
something we could talk about after, but
yeah.
I think that's just a huge opportunity, and I was wondering if you're seeing some of that in terms of, taking single family homes and turning them into 4 units, 4 or 5 units. Um, we're focused on that and kind of that opportunity. I personally think it's the best opportunity from like an investment standpoint. Obviously, it's a little bit of a bigger investment, so
Mhm.
maybe you need a few partners, or maybe you need to put something together to make it make sense. But I just think that it's a great alternative option, aside from condos in terms of
Sure.
in terms of
I think the missing middle is
housing.
quite interesting. It's
Yeah.
quite a unique case study. I think that in theory, it makes a lot of sense. I think in theory, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
I think in actuality, it'll take a long time for that to be seen in our market on a conventional scale.
Mm,
I think that, me as a homeowner, I wouldn't want my neighbor renting it out to four people.
yeah.
So I would hopefully do what I can to avoid that. And I think that the pricing in the market now, so that's just NIMBYism, that's going to always exist, always forever. But I think the big issue is the numbers don't work as well for someone wanting to make that play as it does for an end user. And we have enough of the end users to pay market price for those assets to keep it as an end user home. Maybe a
Mm,
garden suite, maybe a rental basement.
mm,
You might get some savvy kids coming out of university, buy a house for themselves, live in one unit, turn it into four. Like, I
mhm,
think we'll see it,
mhm,
but I don't think that it's going to have the impact that a lot of people maybe thought it was going to have when it first got introduced.
mm,
I love it. I think the potential's huge. I think for investors, the potential's huge.
mm,
I just think that the practicality of it
mm,
is difficult because I'll tell you right now, from a numbers perspective, no investor is going to buy this home that's worth 1.5 million to Joe and Mary and their three kids. No investor's paying 1.5. It's not lucrative enough for them to pay
mm,
1.5, even with 4 units. For them, it makes sense at 1.2,
mhm.
but the market isn't supporting 1.2 because Bill and Mary are willing to pay 1.5 because that's what the comps
Yeah.
show. Does that make sense? So I think that the end user is still willing to pay more than the investor right now.
I think what it is in, I would say, primo neighborhoods in Toronto, or like better neighborhoods.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But I
Sure.
guess it's those, sort of tertiary neighborhoods in Toronto where it really makes sense,
Some
where
of
you're
those
still,
pockets, but then you
where,
need the bigger lot size. Then those are few and far between. Like, you look at a Mimico where you think it might make sense,
Mhm,
and you've got a 25-foot lot with 90-foot depth. It gets complicated.
mhm,
So I agree with you 100%. I just think that I think it's a great opportunity for
mhm,
investors. I think it's a phenomenal play.
mhm,
I just think it's a really hard thing to find. That's
mhm.
all. If you can
Yeah,
find
yeah,
it, great.
yeah, yeah.
I just don't think my point is it's not going to transform our landscape
That's
like
true. Yeah,
next
yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah. It's a certain lot size in certain areas, and
Yeah.
and there's only a select few, but it might be bigger than you think in terms of the opportunity. So let's looking
Yeah,
forward to
sure.
kind of
Yeah, yeah.
going over that and exploring the opportunity. Yeah, man, it's great chatting with you and just going deep. I got a bunch of other stuff that we could talk about, but I'll just dive into, like, what does success look like to you? I mean, obviously you're successful in terms of the team, the production business, the coaching is amazing, man. I'm really proud of you in terms of what you've built.
Thank
But
you.
what does success look like at the end of the day?
I think that definition shifts as we
Mm,
embark in our journey,
mm,
right? I think that the definition of success really changes.
mm,
When I was in high school, it was driving the Porsche and having a big fancy custom house, which I have,
mm.
right? So the conventional
Yeah, yeah.
success.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I think success now for me is being able to spend a full day with my daughter and take her to the zoo when I want to.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I said before about wearing suits. It's always about wearing suits. I was listening to a billionaire on a podcast the other day, and he goes, you've made it when you've hit flip flop mode, and I can wear flip flops every day, right? So definition of success in high school is I want a job where I can wear a suit every day.
Yeah.
Now it's like I want to wear a t-shirt by my pool on a Thursday in July,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the definition of success is always changing. I think at this point in my life, it's time. Success for me is going to be buying back more of my time,
Yeah.
and finding, always being available for my team, but finding automations and systems
Yeah.
and strategies and
That's it.
structures where my team still has full support without me needing to answer my phone at 2 a.m. to help them with a deal, or walking them through something at 11 at night, working on an offer for them, So I think the definition of success is always changing, right? It'll probably be different when I'm a grandparent, God willing, eventually
Yeah,
down the
yeah.
road. The definition of success will be different then too,
Yeah.
right? It'll be
Yeah.
that I can take my grandkids out for ice cream,
Yeah.
So the definition of success in the conventional sense, yes, we're successful. We have a nice office and cars and houses and investment properties and great high producing team with a great culture. That's great. But I think my definition of success right now is time with my daughter and then the impact I can have on the industry. I want to increase and amplify the impact I have on the industry,
I love that.
not from Rex coaching, we brought in this much this year that we can reinvest in the training, but more so, what's the volume of deals that our students are doing? Did they come in doing 10 deals, now they're doing 50? That's success to me. We're doing something great. We're getting noticed for doing something of impact.
Yeah. I love that.
So yeah, that's my long-winded definition of success. Time with my family, and having an impact on the industry at a great scale. And you mentioned you asked me the difference between team and coaching. I like the coaching side because I can have a greater impact at a greater scale and impact. Like I've got coaching clients in LA, Boston, New York, California. I said LA, Indiana, like you name it. We've got coaching clients everywhere. They can't join my team. I can't impact them the same way. I can't dedicate the same time. But with my systems and my scale and my program, I can change the industry everywhere across the board. And that's success.
It's about that global impact.
So we're very thrilled with that.
Yeah, it's about that global impact.
Good question.
You know what? But what I was thinking though is a big dilemma you're in, my man, because it's hard to give up, to not give up that time when you give so much shit, right? When you give a shit, right? So that's the biggest dilemma.
And that's the hard thing.
That's the hardest thing, man.
That's the hard thing. So it's just being dialed in with your schedule and being intentional with your time, and being able to say no.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to learn how to say no. But,
yeah.
That's a big one.
When you care and you give a shit, it's hard, man, because it's you want to get that deal done, you want to help that person at all odds and hours. And
well, we've done it, right? You know how it is. Like in this business in general, you always give a shit about your clients. How many dinners have you had to walk away from to take a call? How many times have you had to run to the office when you should have been at an anniversary party? How many times have you had to say no to your buddy's birthday? How many times have you had to, in the middle of the third period tie game and you missed the Leafs game-winning goal because you're standing back there on the phone trying to, talk your client through an offer, right? So like, all the top guys have done it. We've done it, and now it's about I don't know, finding better creative ways to still do it, but more efficiently.
Yeah. You mentioned your daughter, and I think our daughters are similarly aged. I think yours is probably in and around 1, and mine is approaching 2, give or take.
Yeah.
It's amazing, man. It's amazing. It's amazing. How do you feel that's kind of changed, kind of your life and your outlook?
Probably very similar to you. Like the responsibility that you have is monumental. It's insane, right? Before she was around, if I really wanted to pick up and you have a stressful day, I'm just gonna move to California and surf all day, right? Like really no serious responsibilities, right? But like this is it's a life-changing event where she's everything now, and it lights that fire under your butt where do I really need a new suit? No, I'm gonna put it in her education fund or buy her a toy kitchen or buy her pool toys or it's just everything's about her, and it gives you this new redefined purpose. I had a teacher in high school. His name was Mr. Fitzgerald. I think it was like grade 10 or grade 11 geography. And I remember him saying something like, "You're never going to understand how much your parents love you until you have kids of your own." And I was like, holy smokes. Like, very true. So obviously you love your parents, but like when you have a kid, it's like, whoa, what an intense love that is for your kid. And then you're like, you have such a, I don't know, I had like this epiphany of this appreciation for my parents and all the stuff they did for like 18 years, like raising you, the time, the requirement, the effort. So that was a big thing too. That was a big thing too. It was just like, holy crap. Yeah, he was right, Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yeah, it flips the way you think.
It does.
Flips the way you think. And it's funny you mentioned like the whole flip-flops and suit, and it's eventually you realize even the most wealthiest people, like sometimes they don't look like they're wealthy, and it's it's
you really never know.
It's that mind shift, right? Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, it's the same old thing. Some people are so poor, all they have is money, right? Like that's one that speaks to me, because you're just, when you're a kid and you're driven and you're fired up and you just want to go and you want to change the world and you want to make an impact and you want to show everyone you can be successful, make your parents proud, make your friends and family proud. That definition changes really quickly when you hit a certain, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it happens. I couldn't say if it happens like that or if it happens over time. It's a little more gradual.
It happens over time.
But definitely everyone's definition of success is different.
I think it's impact season, my man.
I think
it's impact season. Thank you for coming through the podcast, my man.
Thanks for having me, man.
I appreciate you, man.
Pleasure.
I appreciate you, man.
Love the questions. Yeah. Great questions. Always an honor talking to you.
It's impact season. That's what it is.
It's an impact.
It's time to make an impact, man, because time is limited, time is precious.
Yes,
we gotta save some for the daughters, but with the time we have, we gotta make an impact, man. So
we got lots to do.
It's impact season, man. Yeah, I appreciate you, man.
Word of the year this year is intention. My word of the year. Last year was urgency, because we needed to implement urgency.
Yeah,
but my word of the year this year is intention. Like operate with intention. Like I said, like why are we knocking on that door?
Yeah.
Why am I working so hard? For the kids, for the girls. Like why am I doing what I'm doing? Right? We gotta, we waste a lot of our time in this business. We gotta work and operate with intention.
So I love that, man.
Impact season with intention.
Impact season with intention. Intention to have an impact, man. That's it.
Yes, sir. Love it, bro. Awesome.